What's up, guys? Buddy VR coming at you with another one of my favorite albums, and today we're going to be talking Thrice's comeback album back in 2016, To Be Everywhere Is to Be Nowhere. This is not only, in my opinion, one of their best albums, but it's also the album that at the time got me into the band, and they are now one of my absolute favorite bands, period. I think the best place to start with this album is by examining what makes it unique among Thrice's catalog. They are a band that has such like a wide array of sounds and influences throughout their career at this point, which spans over 20 years. So in 2011, they put out Major Minor, which is another album I really enjoy by them, that sees them pretty much embracing a full-on like alternative rock sound to its core. Then they split up, and 5 years later, they come back with this album, which may retain a lot of those alternative rock elements, but it brings in many new elements of grunge, a little bit of alt metal, and maybe even some touches of hardcore and post-hardcore reminiscent of their early material. This album is a really good blend of old and new, at least at the time new, when it comes to Thrice's catalog overall. And this album also has a really cool duality, which I enjoy. Just from the fact that basically on one side, you have these darker, at times more aggressive, and often politically leaning themed songs. And then on the other hand, you have some just really beautiful and delicate songs with some just gorgeous melodies. The album pretty much fully sits in that duality between these two styles of moods, I guess. But even within those two kind of categories here, they still manage to separate each song apart. It never really gets repetitive stylistically or thematically because they still kind of find ways to tackle different themes within these categories, I guess. And the album is arranged beautifully in a sense that you never really fall into like a rut where you're getting multiple songs that sound the same or are the same lyrically all in a row. Yet the peaks and valleys of this album, as far as the more aggressive cuts, when the melodic cuts come in, it never feels like it derails that momentum just because of the arrangement here. And that's a very hard balance to strike, because when you're listening to like a rock record in particular, and it's so like robotically aggressive song, melodic song, aggressive song, melodic song, you're never really able to fully like lock into the album. And the heavy songs in the full album context aren't really able to maintain or pick up any momentum whatsoever. That's not the case with this album. It is a very smooth and cohesive listen all the way through from start to finish. So let's start getting into specifics here. What are my favorite songs on the album? The songs that register to me the most, whether that's musically or lyrically, and there's a good amount of both on here. Starting with the more aggressive cuts, I obviously really enjoy these songs musically, but for these songs, it's the lyrical messages here that really, really resonate with me and make these songs so enjoyable. I especially love how they can kind of be more of like a grand scheme picture on a song like Blood in the Sand, which is pretty much examining modern, at least U.S. society as a whole, with lyrics like, "We panic at the sight of different colored skin," "There's a gun in my hand, or there might as well be." That's another one I like. Just a lot of these lyrics that kind of examine just, again, kind of society as a whole. And then Dustin repeatedly yelling the phrase, "I'm sick of it," really drives the song home lyrically. It's like, it's a broad theme, but you know what he's talking about just because of his word choice. And then there's also songs lyrically on here that tackle really, really specific themes, like the track Whistleblower, which is about Edward Snowden, who, for those who aren't familiar, worked for the National Security Agency here in the U.S. and actually leaked classified information as far as U.S. global surveillance. Hence why he's considered a whistleblower. And the song actually is saying from his point of view, with Dustin in the chorus having that main chorus line where he says, "I'm the whistleblower." The song Wake Up is one that lyrically, again, may be more of like a grand scheme type of song here. But, I mean, the lyrics like, "We tell ourselves that we'll do it later when we know full well that that ain't true. We'll do it when things settle down. We'll do it when the seasons change." I think that's one. And then, of course, the main chorus line being, "We gotta wake up." This song, to me, kind of registers lyrically as an examination upon the laziness of society as far as ending hate and just kind of waking up and seeing through what the media presents us. Examining things like the role of the individual in society and just the fact that these things take effort, and society as a whole and the masses as a whole may not really want to fully get past it. And the song's complemented instrumentally by some really just dark chord progressions. I especially love that main one in the intro and the verses. It's definitely dark, but it has like this urban jazziness to it that kind of works with it as well. And then later in the song, that final chorus, you get that double time snare drum driving through that last part. Sounds awesome. My favorite track on the album lyrically might be Death from Above, which comes from the point of view of a drone operator who is sent to essentially kill large populations at once. The song kind of examines the moral dilemma that this person's in because, for one, they're just doing their job. They're being told what to do. It's not voluntary. But the fact that he's taking lives and he doesn't know who or how many lives he's taking takes a toll on him. I find the chorus lyrics of this song especially gut-wrenching when he's kind of trying to, or the narrator's kind of trying to convince himself that they're just targets on a screen and none of it's real. Those are actual lyrics in the song. He's basically trying to gaslight himself and saying that they're not actual people, they're just targets. Like almost like he's playing a video game because he's so heartbroken that he's actually having to do this. And there's also lyrics about just kind of him obviously working for the US government and the implications there. Very inspired lyrics on this album. It's one of my absolute favorite elements of it and something that would later become one of my favorite elements of Thrice's music. Even the big hit on this album, Black Honey, is about US foreign policy, just that metaphor of a guy swinging his hand through swarms of bees and not knowing why he's getting stung, which is of course meant to represent the US going in and getting resources from other countries and conflict happening, essentially. And again, instrumentally, both Death from Above and Black Honey have these chord progressions, mostly clean guitar chord progressions, especially in the verses of both of these songs, that just complement these moods so well. I mean, the despair in that chord progression on Death from Above just perfectly matches those lyrics. And then that twangy guitar tone on Black Honey is just awesome. It gives it that slight kind of bluesy feeling. And Dustin's vocals also really add to that feeling as well, especially in that bridge section when he's a bit more isolated with some stripped back drums under it and his rasp really shows itself. And the ending of that song too, how it really cranks up the emotion and it almost brings in an element of like sympathy, because it's like the narrator here just seems so like clueless as to why things are happening when he's saying he's being followed across the sea and they're stinging his friends and his family, which of course references US allies being attacked. I love the lyrics on this album. They're nuanced, yet they're not indistinguishable. Anybody who listens to this album, I highly, highly encourage you to just read along to the lyrics while you do it. It will add so much to the listening experience. And then as far as the more melodic cuts on here, some of these chord progressions and melodies in these songs are just absolutely beautiful. The opening track, Hurricane, which is another one of the singles off this album at the time, is just fucking gorgeous. Like, it packs so much emotion, again, in that kind of like bendy main chord progression, and then those really stripped back verses with Dustin's more delicate vocals over it. Just again, the despair in this song and the chorus, and then especially as the song ends and it gets even more just dissonant and ugly sounding. I love it. The Window brings in some more familiarity as far as Thrice's overall kind of style here with the odd time signature, which I love. Lyrically, this song definitely is a bit more philosophical, I guess would be a good way of putting it. The song just has that unique obscurity on this album that keeps me especially fixated on it when I listen to it. And getting even more somber and emotional, the track The Long Defeat is one of my absolute favorite songs on this album, one of my favorite Thrice songs, period. This is one of those songs that manages to feel dark, yet shimmering and hopeful at the same time. It's like it is a hopeful song overall because the main chorus line says, "Together we'll fight the long defeat," but the song in its melodies kind of acknowledges the darkness behind it. But like, again, just the melodies in this song, that main chord progression in particular might be my favorite on the album. Like, it's so genuinely heartwarming to listen to. And then that sludgy outro with, again, those kind of clean guitars just floating around over it. It just gives it so much more character, and it especially complements that despair that the song kind of has behind it. Stay With Me is great too. It's definitely one of the more straightforward tracks on here, but it works. It's probably the most upbeat type track on here, but again, I just feel like there's this subtle like drama behind it that just makes it not fully a song that I would consider 100% positive. The pre-chorus, how it kind of builds up, and then the chorus itself with Dustin repeating the line, "Will you stay with me?" brings in like even a little bit of like pop influence. But it's just so catchy and so jam-packed with emotion in the chord progressions and Dustin's vocal delivery that it works. And a specific detail I enjoy about this song a lot is when that final pre-chorus comes back and it's a lot more full sounding rather than building up again. They just really go all in with the energy and the dynamics there and just kind of make it already sounding full. And it kind of freshens up the song at that point. And then the closing track on here, Salt and Shadow, is just absolute perfection. This is a gorgeous song, jam-packed with emotion, some of the most beautiful melodies Thrice has ever displayed on any of their music. I just love the space this song takes up. It feels like it's living and breathing as you're listening to it. The vocals and a lot of the added studio parts are very like atmospheric, which adds a lot to the song. The song is just like, it's the perfect soundtrack to a rainy day. That's the best way of putting it. And lyrically, it's extremely meaningful. As to me, it is about missing somebody who has passed away. So yeah, overall, guys, this is a phenomenal album. One of my favorites from now one of my favorite bands. And I guess a few things that add to the listening experience as a whole would be, for one, the production. I always love how Thrice's albums are produced, especially these more modern ones. It highlights that alternative rock and almost indie influence in their sound, but it still has that grit to it. The rhythm section in particular, the drums and the bass, how the bass is a little bit staticky, the drums are a little bit lo-fi sounding, and then the guitars over it are a bit more clean and almost shimmering in nature. And there really aren't a whole lot of added studio effects put on. I think Salt and Shadow probably has the most, and even that song is remarkably easy on the ears and never feels like polished. And I absolutely love Dustin Kensrue's vocals. It's so funny because he sounds so different now than he did on Thrice's earlier material, just because of the rasp he's gained throughout the years. But he sounds so good. The way his voice sounds is the perfect vocal style for this type of music, for just the way Thrice sounds overall, with everything I just mentioned in the instruments. The vocals on here sound impassioned, they sound soulful, and Dustin just conveys his emotion in these songs perfectly with the way he delivers his lyrics. So like I always say with these favorite albums videos, if you have not heard this album, I highly, highly encourage you to check it out, especially if you're a fan of Thrice who may not have given it enough of a chance, if you like more of their older material, or if you're a fan of alternative rock, maybe some post-hardcore, or just anybody that appreciates good music at the end of the day, and especially well-written lyrics that are poetic and are able to like clearly talk about a specific theme without being too on the nose, I guess. And if you have heard this album, definitely let me know in the comments what your thoughts on it. How would you rank it in Thrice's overall discography? Let me know what your favorite songs are from this album. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to check the description of the video for my Instagram, Spotify, Threads links, as well as a link to my original music. And also hit the subscribe button for more rock and related content. Until next time, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.